My name is Luis, also known as Cabo Casanova online, and I'm owner of 3 barbershops, and I opened up 3 of those barbershops in less than 3 years. Here's some common questions that I'm gonna explain to you on how to do it step by step in one video. So some of the biggest challenges starting out, man, there's so many. I think being a business owner is super complex in my opinion. You know, there's a lot. You have to really take in people's personalities into account. You question how to get barbers right because they're independent contractors. You don't want to treat people like employees. But being a leader is scary. It's a scary place to be because you go into it head first, you start dreaming and you're thinking, okay, well, I want to do this. But the why is the biggest thing. I think finding your why means a lot. If you're the kind of guy that is egotistical, I think if you're the kind of guy that put yourself in a position where you want to be the cool guy and have the nice cars, and which is nothing wrong with that. But if your main focus is that, I think people are going to see through that. So I think finding your why is the most complex thing to start off. Like you have to have a why before you start walking towards that goal. So how did I start or build an infrastructure with no proper training beforehand or no college degree? I personally listened a lot to someone called Andy Frisella. He has a huge company. I think he's out of St. Louis, Missouri. Shout out to him. And I would listen to his podcast a lot. And I learned a lot of details through that podcast. And I would realize as I was in business and I was growing, they would talk about those things. And it would really get me into a place where I would answer, where those questions would get answered. I was listening to the podcast and that helped me a lot. But I would tell you friendships. I had at least two friends named John. One owned the school that I went to, and one owns like different kinds of companies from like restaurants, so a coffee shop to a print shop. And talking to people that know more than you, having mentors, so to speak, or friends that are more experienced, I would say is a big place to start. Reading books. I read a lot of books, you know, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's what kind of changed the framework of my mindset and how to look at assets and liabilities. But yeah, reading books that revolve around business and self-growth, leadership books, I think that's a big one. The Bible teaches, whether you're a believer in Christ or not, the Bible teaches proper leadership, how to lead by example, and that's like a big thing, you know? It's like, if you're doing it right by everybody, you're always gonna win. If you're in a win-win as far as a partnership goes, I think that's a big one. So reading books, podcasts, and seeking out people or mentors that know more than you, for sure. My first shop, what was it like, and how did it reflect on me as an owner? I'll tell you this much. Personally, I think I struggled a lot with imposter syndrome. Pretty much, I felt like I didn't belong, or who am I to deserve this? When you're standing in front of people and you're giving a speech and you have, at that time, 8 people, 10 people looking back at you, or 11 people, right, with the full shop, looking back at you for leadership, for answers, I think that's the scariest part. You know, starting out and like sometimes not having the answers and actually finding them. People ask you something and you have to tell people, hey, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. And that's a scary place to be because you want to have all the answers. People are looking at you for leadership, answers on how to make more income. And I think the struggle was the imposter syndrome that I dealt with. After the first year hit though, it felt more real. And I will say that I learned a lot of lessons. I messed up, I've gotten angry. I've had to take accountability for snapping at a few people, but it made me a better leader by being able to take accountability and learn from my mistakes. I think a good leader learns from their mistakes, and I think it'll reflect on you as an owner. Or if you get more prideful and paranoid, you know, it'll show that as well, and your business is gonna get affected. So I would say for me personally, it was learning to take accountability and grow as a person and as a leader. And getting rid of that imposter syndrome the first year, that was the hardest thing too, for sure. So what's the framework for opening up a successful barbershop, and where do you start? Well, the obvious answer is making money. You know, you have to make money, you have to have money, you have to have the capital to be able to start a business. Now, whether you do a loan, whether you get that borrowed from someone or you save up, I think that's important. I will say the other thing too is putting yourself in a position where you have to understand if you're a good enough leader yet. A lot of people want to own a barbershop, and yeah, maybe you're a good barber at this point. Maybe you're busy. I think that's another thing. You have to learn the industry. I wouldn't start a barbershop unless you've been cutting hair for at the very minimum a year, and you actually built up a solid clientele. Because if you get a barber that doesn't know how to do certain things, design work, shear work, are you gonna be able to lead them and teach them on how to develop that skill or help them finish a haircut? If you're not capable of that, then what are you doing right? Or what are you doing wrong? For me, I think experience and learning the industry and learning how to do everything and being a well-rounded barber is a good place to start. And I think becoming a good leader before you become the actual leader you want to be. I think you have to treat the barbershop that you're at like it's your own. And I think those are good places to start. The framework starts with your mind. It doesn't start with a system. You develop the system as you go and you learn as you go. So I would say develop your leadership skills and develop your actual skills with your skills for your cutting hair for sure. Now expanding on technical or technicalities, I will tell you the first thing you have to do is find a good location. That means is there good anchors? Anchors are like In-N-Out, Starbucks, grocery stores, like anything's an anchor, but a good one is something that builds or brings a lot of people into the plaza that you're in. So for example, if you go to a strip mall and there's a bunch of hole-in-the-wall small businesses, it might be a lot cheaper, but you're gonna have a lot more of a harder time bringing in clientele from the traffic that the plaza doesn't bring in. Now, if you're going to a plaza like I've opened up, each location has had a grocery store. The third location I just opened up has a gym right on the corner, and they're busy all night. There's a Little Caesars and a Juice It Up next to it, so people are constantly coming. All three locations are down the street from high schools. So it's one of those things. You have to really look for a prime location and learn to be patient. And price-wise, you have to make sure you're capable of affording it yourself. You know, I think that once you start making enough money behind the chair, you have to realize you're gonna be paying out of pocket until you get enough barbers to start with you, where you're not over-leveraged in the way that, where you need barbers. All three of my locations, I can pay it myself out of pocket if I had to, or I can let go of the business and still be comfortable with my personal life choices. So I would tell you, don't over-leverage yourself, look for a good location with good anchors. And if you're not gonna get a good location with good anchors, you better get really good at marketing for sure. So how much money do you start with, right? That's a question that people ask me commonly, a common question. It's, well, I'm gonna give you my personal experience. I know I wanted to go with high-end chairs from the beginning. So I spent $1,000 a chair. I started with $25,000, saved up, continued to, cut hair, make money, reinvest my money into the barbershop. The whole first complete year, I spent 25 grand to start. I started with 4 chairs, and every time I hired someone new, I would buy 2 chairs at a time. And I just kept going back and buying 2 chairs at a time as the shop was progressing and getting more and more filled up. So the first year, I was broke the whole time. I kept reinvesting my money. And when everything was said and done, even after some remodeling that I did, I spent over $100,000 on the business. So my whole first year, all my profits were going directly back into the business. So I profited literally nothing. So if you want to start and you have a plan, I would tell you basic shop, basic chairs, half the cost of mine would be 25 to 30K comfortably, because you have to pay first month's rent, deposit, you have to buy the chairs, you have to buy the equipment, the stations, you have to buy the mirrors, you have to buy lighting if you want any kind of spatial lighting, you have to get chairs or something for the waiting area. It's very expensive to start. People think it's cheap, but it's not. And not everybody has 20 to 30 grand just laying around. So I would say if you want to be comfortable starting the shop, 30 grand. And you're not gonna make any real money the whole first year. I kept reinvesting. As I was making money, I opened up my second shop, opened up my third shop now. So I've been reinvesting, and I've been technically broke this whole time. Even though I've been making more and more money, I've been reinvesting my money more and more. So it just depends what your goals are. And I would recommend that you look at it as an investment to your future, not a sacrifice, but 20 to 30 grand for sure. So how can you start a barbershop with no money? You need money. But let's say you don't have that money. What do? I would tell you get a loan if you have good credit and you have a good financial statement in terms of like your taxes show net income. You're actually reporting your money. Number one, get a loan. Start with the loan, even if you have no cash. Number two, I would tell you, which is a lot harder, by the way. You can't get a business loan if you have no actual existing business. But number two, I would tell you, get money from a family member. Maybe you have a family member that has good money. Tell them you're going to pay them with interest. Leverage other people's money. At the end of the day, it's a different world we live in now. It's a lot easier to ask a family member, like an uncle or somebody or your parents, right? If you have that money to do so. But me personally, I never wanted to owe anybody. I used my own money. With the help of my wife, obviously. We poured all our money into the business, and I will tell you that it was the best decision I made, because now I know that I can technically say I'm self-made with the help of others. So I recommend leveraging other people's money or getting a loan if you have no money. So what have I learned these past 3 years as a business owner, and how have I evolved how I run my shops, right? I've become more of I've become more strict, and not in a way where I'm like super rigid, where I'm just like, I'm anal or something, I'm learning more of a balance on what to not let slide and what to be what's more of a gray area. I went from trying to be the friend in the beginning, and you have to learn to lay down the law, so to speak, or fire people when you have to. So I went from trying to be the friend to being, how would I put this? To being the better leader, right? To being the actual leader that the business needed. There was a void there, and I remember I went from being the friend to being too strict. Now I have more of a balance. Now I actually listen to people. I ask if they're doing okay before I actually go to reprimand them or tell them they're getting a warning or getting fired, right? I try to listen to people. So I'll say that I've grown as a leader in terms of actually being willing to listen to my barbers and see if they got something personal going on. So I went from being the friend to being the leader. I guess that's the best way to put it, for sure. I've also got more rules down. I have code of conduct, right? How we operate. I become a lot more firm on how to properly fire people, so it leaves my emotions out of it. So there's a bunch of little things that I progressed on, but what you guys will learn in this course that I'm gonna drop soon. So what's the biggest takeaways I've had these past 3 years, almost 3 years, right? 'Cause it's been a little over 2.5 as a business owner owning the shops, right? I will say the biggest one has been to not lose sight of why I started. I always started to wanting to be the barber's barber, right? Like the owner that looked out for the barbers, the owner that cared more about customer service than looking cool. I know that every now and then we post videos and we can look cool online, I mean, in my opinion, but I think my passion behind the business, or my mission statement, has always been to look out for the barbers, mentor them, and if one of them ends up doing better than me, I'd be ecstatic for them. To never have hate in my heart, you know what I mean? And continue to wish the best for people, even if I do let them go. I don't carry life with paranoia of what the barbers do or don't do, and I try to be the best leader that I possibly can. So I will say that for me, my biggest lesson or the biggest thing I've learned has been to carry the same passion or the same energy from when I started till now. And I think that's what's helped the business grow as dramatically as it has. That's where I still get messages like, hey, are you hiring? Would you be willing to do this or that? And I still listen to the industry. I have my ear to the streets, and I hear what people are complaining and saying still, and I continue to adapt. So for me, it has been to just stay humble, continue to remember what my purpose of being a business owner is, and that's to look out for other people, to always keep that win-win mentality when it comes to doing business. If I'm winning and you're losing, that's bad business. So if the barbers are doing good financially and I'm doing good, life is good. So how to properly market the barbershop once you have it open, right? Social media, obviously. Google reviews, build those up. I will also tell you that make sure that you never forget to pass out business cards. Have your barbers pass out business cards. And honestly, word of mouth. People downplay that a lot, but we get a lot of customers that come in all the time and said, hey, my buddy said you guys are great, customer service is amazing, so they come in and they get taken care of. I'll tell you 100 times out of 100 times, great customer service and a good haircut beats an amazing haircut and bad customer service. So focus on that, focus on the reviews, and make sure that you're posting as much as possible on your personal page and on your business page. Get better, look at your analytics when you're looking at social media and what helps the business grow or the views come by, and start there for sure. You're busy, you're doing good behind the chair, you're cutting hair, life is amazing, right? Should you become a barbershop owner now? That depends. Personally, I think that you should not do it if you're egotistical, you like showing off, and you're coming from a selfish place. The reason I'm saying that is because those are qualities that leaders shouldn't have. I think it's okay to have those things, maybe as long as you're looking after people first. But if your goal is to make yourself bigger than everyone else, to build something bigger than yourself, and it's not to give back, then 100% no. You're gonna learn a lot of hard lessons. I've seen a lot of people with ego fail time and time again, or struggle with their first shot because they don't have the right mindset in mind. Just because you're busy as a barber, just because you're making a lot of money cutting hair, it doesn't mean you're gonna be a good shop owner. Just because you can produce behind the chair doesn't mean you're gonna be able to produce as a business owner. So if you wanna become a business owner and your mentality is in the right place and you don't wanna struggle, because this is also for you, it isn't just about, putting you down, right? If you don't wanna struggle as a business owner, have the right mindset first. And if your mindset is to help others, then you're gonna succeed. If your mindset is to help yourself, then you're not gonna succeed. It should be mutual. And it should be you putting others first, and naturally, good people are gonna come that are gonna look after your business. So if you're busy behind the chair, that doesn't mean you're gonna be a good business owner, remember that. In the beginning, how much help did I need? Well, I'm gonna split that into two parts, okay? Financially, little to none. As I was making money, I put all that money back into my business. Now, I could have used it. I could have asked a lot of people for help, you know what I mean? But I'll say this, that I think when it comes to a financial place, if you're not making enough behind the chair, you have car loans, you're super over leveraged financially, maybe you just got married, you got a new kid. Being over leveraged pretty much means, for those that don't know, is that you got too many debts or too many things going on over here financially that you can't really invest or keep your business afloat comfortably while you're on the building side of things, But I would say financially, I needed little to no help. I mainly did all of it by myself. I reinvested all my money back into the business. I have no loans, owe money to nobody. So I was capable of doing that over the course of a year. So for me, if you ask me, I would tell you that financially, you should be able to do it on your own if you had to. If you can't do it on your own, you're gonna owe people money. You're not gonna feel like you did it on your own, and it might hurt you down the line. Some people might hold it over your head like, I helped you. So I recommend not doing that. I recommend doing the best that you can, either get a loan or do it on your own. But if you can't afford it on your own, even if you weren't qualified for a loan, then I wouldn't do it. Now, morally, did I need any help from people? Probably not. But you build a community as a business owner, and how you reach out to people and the connections you make matters. My wife, shout out to her, would drive around with me at midnight, 1 a.m, looking for locations. My third location, I've been back and forth with that real estate agent or that property management agent for 3 years. I negotiated that location for 3 freaking years. So when I tell you that moral support is important and having people that believe in you is important, that's an understatement. I will tell you that I could have done it on my own. I do have enough belief in myself to know that I could have done that. But having the right family members, the right friends around you, the right people that you can call and ask for advice makes it a lot easier to have the answers that you look for sure. So how do you get your first barber in your shop? If you're not building relationships at the shop that you're at, or marketing yourself correctly, it's gonna be really hard. I'm grateful to say that I've had to very little at times actually put on a now hiring or run an ad or anything like that. The one time I did, Instagram blocked the ad because me not wording things correctly. So it was, I still didn't even get much reach from that personal post. So if you were to ask me, I would tell you the first place to start is build relationships in the shop that you're at. Not every shop's gonna be a place where people are happy at. So if you open up a shop and you're good people and you're friends with someone, that person might just come with you because they know that they're gonna be maybe happier at the shop that you're gonna open. So that's number one. Number two, I would tell you, market yourself. Really build a brand, build an image, build a place of where you grow a good culture where people talk about it as well. That barber might have a barber friend that's coming out of school. I've had people that love the culture at the shop, maybe got some background in cutting hair like their mom cuts hair, and they just always love the industry and they go from plumbing to being a barber. Some people go from construction and they're tired of it and they've cut hair on the side and they're like, hey, I'd rather take this full time so my body doesn't get beat up. So there's numerous ways to look at things where you can actually be. Sometimes they come out of nowhere. A lot of them have been recommendations. People that know somebody like, hey, my little cousin's graduating from high school and I met them before and they're good people. Some of them have been clients. So over time, you're gonna get a lot of people come in. Very randomly, like one of my barbers, she came from Santa Ana, 2-3 cities over from where I'm currently at in Corona. And she calls me and she comes in person asking for a position in the shop. Sometimes you get random people that just maybe seen you online, look up your reviews, whatever it may be on Google, right, or on Instagram, and they come from that. They love the culture, they want to be a part of it. So marketing's a big one. So make sure you market, make sure you build a culture and you make it a happy place to work at, and it'll come naturally. So here's some bonus questions from Instagram. The first one was, how do you know it's time to open up your barbershop? When you're unhappy, honestly, I don't know if I would have opened up my first shop if I was unhappy in the place where I was working at. And I wasn't unhappy because of the culture, like it was more so because there was flaws in that barbershop that I thought I could have done better at. So maybe it was me just ready to like finally open up my own business, For whatever reason, I would say if you're unhappy because you got the hunger in you to continue to do more than what you have in front of you, or whether it be because you hate where you work at. Sometimes you're not gonna be happy in a lot of spaces or in the cultures of other barbershops until you open up your own. So I'd recommend if you're unhappy, if you're in a place where you're not comfortable where you work at, you're gonna keep bouncing from shop to shop until you create your own culture and whatever makes you happy. So how do you balance family life and work life? You don't. People have this stupid idea of like, I got kids, okay, sure, I don't got kids, freaking crucify me, dude, I don't care. Look, truth is, I have a lot more responsibility than the average family. Now, I know kids is a lot. I know kids can't, you gotta go wipe their ass and feed them and do other things that you don't have to do with a bunch of barbers. But I have, at the current moment, 24 barbers outside of myself that I have to take care of. Families that have kids. So I gotta help take care of their kids in a sense, right? Like, yeah, they're independent contractors, whatever, but without my leadership, without me running a proper business, all these families have to go look for someone else, have to go look somewhere else for a job, have to go rent another chair, have to go find something else when they're comfortable right now. So I have to remember the kind of pressure that is on my shoulders. So let's get that out the way. That work-life balance is full of crap. My mom complains sometimes like, hey, you're in the middle of opening up a shop, so I ain't tripping, but when are you gonna come see me? Like, you just have to remember, this lifestyle isn't easy. If you wanna give 50% family, 50% business, the person that's giving 80, 90% to their business, and maybe brings their kids along with them while they're building the business and has a wife and the wife's involved and they're like all in, they're gonna pass you up every single time. And it's not to get it fucked up, guys. Business is extremely competitive. The business, you have to look at it as a pie. And there's only so much of that pie that everybody can take. And at a certain point, if the pie is full, you're gonna end up taking from someone else's slice, the more you build. And that's how it works. Eventually, you might own half the pie. And that's how it is. And other businesses are gonna close down. Business is competitive. There is no balance. And if you're looking for balance, remember, you're gonna get passed up by the person that has no balance. That just looks to kill, 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 eat, eat, eat. Simple. Advice for seeking mentorship for your barber business. Hi. Hit me up. DM me, message me. I can't always get back to everybody. I'm gonna be dropping a course pretty soon that is inexpensive, price of a haircut, the average haircut in America, at least. And I would tell you, plug that in. Invest in yourself, invest in your education. I will be there every freaking week for you to talk to me and ask me any personal questions. And as you're building, like I said, I will be there weekly. Getting on Zoom calls, with a group of people that want to be involved in it and just kind of growing that community. My goal is to be as transparent as possible. There's people that have 10 barbershops and whatever, but they have partners. I don't have a partner. I don't have anybody that literally helped me build my business. So the opportunity and the advice and the wisdom that you're gonna get, or the education you're gonna get from that course, or from me personally, I would tell you to lock in. There's a lot of good people out there. Marv does a really good course on marketing. He touches on the basics and really expands on them in a way where, the slowest person could learn them. But there's certain people that I would tell you to watch out for. There's people that might teach you a lesson, but they're getting a lot of their education from someone else, and there's a partnership. And sure, there's nothing wrong with that. But when it's coming from someone like me, no loans, no partnership, like the no bullshit, way to handle things, it's going to be a lot easier for you to kind of understand or comprehend where I'm coming from, and it's going to be a lot more personal. So if you want to, I recommend seeking the kind of mentorship that, is going to reflect the kind of lifestyle that you want to live. You wouldn't ask a homeless man how to buy a house. You wouldn't ask a poor man how to make money. If you want to build a business without a partnership, come to me. Now, if you're seeking for a partnership, you want to know how to get into the proper partnership, seek other people that have done that, because that's not me. I want to get partnerships with people, but I built my business without partnerships. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm gonna be dropping that course, and look out for that for sure. So how much is business insurance, and can you get sued for cutting a kid or an adult with the straight razor? Man, let me tell you this. I've had a few incidents where I'm like, what would have came from it? But I would tell you, like 9 out of 10 times, I would say 99 out of 100 times, when accidents happen, most clients understand that that's an accident. Still doesn't mean you should get out of your way to cut people or whatever, right? But I would tell you, if you're gonna open up a business, you have to expect to get stole from. One day you'll get sued. Knock on wood, I'm not there yet. But things are gonna happen, and that's why you have to have money. You have to have good insurance. The common insurance for a barbershop is like $20, $30 a month. Like, it's not that expensive, because you don't have employees. I think the more employees you have, you start looking into workers' comp and a bunch of other stuff, But as a barbershop owner, they're all independent contractors. Just make sure you're treating them as such, and there's a balance, and it's a partnership. But can you get sued? I think you get sued for anything. Now, is that someone suing you, is that gonna go through? That's the difference. If it's something real, something real. But I think even clients understand when they shave their own beards, for example, they cut themselves sometimes. So it depends what kind of cut. If you're talking about a full-blown gash, like you just sliced them, then yeah, you should probably get sued. Like, I would sue you. But if it's like a little nick behind the ear, crap like that, I wouldn't worry about it. That's dumb. So it just depends. If it's something that was completely done on purpose, or something that, was obvious that, the guy doesn't know what he's doing, or maybe he wasn't being hygienic, whatever, I think that you deserve to get sued. Now, hopefully you learn from it and you don't, but accidents happen, and I wouldn't worry about accidents. And if something was to come up, hey, that's the part of business that people don't talk about often, but you have to kind of eat that up and figure it out. So when did I know when I was ready to open up a second and a third location? My uncle once told me, I have an uncle that I see as a father figure, and I had asked him, I was like, hey, like, when is it the right time to get married? I was dating my wife at the time. She was just my girlfriend. And I was 26, I believe. And I was talking to him about this because I'm like, I'm at a point in life where I may have partied enough. I was, single a couple times in my 20s and my teenage years, and I was just kind of like, all right, well, it's kind of getting boring, right? So I got to a place where I was like, hey, when is it the right time? And he tells me, when you're tired of being single. It sounds dumb, but I was like, huh, that makes a lot of sense, It's like, well, why not get married? But it wasn't just a why not. It was the right person. I felt comfortable with that person, and it put me in a place where I was like genuinely ready to move on to the next step. And that's the answer. I had my first shop, things were cracking, chairs were getting full. I had like 2 more chairs to fill, and then already had people lined up and on a wait list to start. And I remember that I was in a position where I talked to, one of my buddies. He's a little bit older, a little more educated, and I told him, because he had 2 shops prior to opening up his other business and selling his barbershops, and I was like, when is it the right time to open up, the second location? And he had told me, when your chairs are full and you still have people wanting to work for your shop, pretty much the demand, right? The basic law of business, supply and demand. When you have more demand than you can supply, then you continue to grow your business. I wasn't there at my second location. I didn't have my chairs full, but I got very comfortable with the fact that not every business has to be 100% full of chairs, because you're gonna have to fire people, you're gonna let people go. Things are gonna happen in business where you're not gonna have the chairs full at all times, whether it be because you're building, you're scaling, you fired maybe 1 or 2 people, maybe one of the barbers started his own barber shop. You have to be comfortable with the idea that you have to have like 80 to 90% of your chairs full. I have 14 chairs in one of my shops, and let's say right now I have 11 chairs filled right now. So I have 3 that are open. You gotta be okay with that. That's perfectly fine. And at that point, if you have people wanting to work for your business and you're not ready to hire another person here, you've already gotten called 2 or 3 times, and maybe it's time to open up a 3rd location and start splitting the demand. Or supplying the demand into different locations. So pay attention to the law of supply and demand. And if the market demands it, supply it. Should you report your taxes? Yes or no, and how to do it. So taxes, man, I hate them. I hate having to pay them, but getting your financial statement correct matters if you want to invest into a business. Now, if you just want to be a barber, you want to BS about how much you make and not pay taxes and not make any investments, then report you're making 1/3 of what you make, right? Like, I don't know, whatever. But from the very beginning, I knew that you had to pay to play. Pay your taxes, show that you're making income if you want to invest and buy real estate, if you want to open up a shop. If you go to open up a shop and the management company is actually doing what they're supposed to, they're gonna ask for your financial statement. They're gonna look at your taxes, they're gonna look at how much money you make, and if it doesn't reflect what it should, they're gonna tell you, okay, well, you haven't been making money. And you can't ask them to go on, hey, trust me, bro. You can't expect them to go based on that. If you were to ask me, I would tell you, report everything, do everything legal, write everything off that you legally can if you want to not pay taxes. But sometimes you have to pay to play and bite the bullet if you want to buy a home, if you want to show that you're making profit in your business. So that way you can actually get approved for a second or a third location, even if your first one. So they're going to look at it like, yeah, you made $100,000, but you made no profit. They're going to just see it as someone that doesn't know how to handle their money correctly, and you're a risk. So if you don't want to be looked at as a risk, I recommend you strategically show that you're making a profit in your business, even behind the chair, before you move forward and try to open up a business or, try to buy a property or anything for sure. I really enjoyed doing this segment. I rarely have time to sit down and talk to you guys. Like I said, I'm now that the 3rd business is getting ready to fully open. I'm in a position where I never have time. So being able to do this for you guys is something that really, makes me happy. I want to be able to give back in every way that I possibly can. Continue to be involved, guys. Every time I put out a questionnaire on any questions that you guys might have, even if it's something personal, I would love to answer them for you guys. I want to be more connected with the people that follow me. And, being able to do that also means that this course that I'm dropping is going to be something that will allow me to be more focused and attentive to everyone's questions. So make sure you guys stay on the lookout for that. I plan to help people scale behind the chair and be able to actually grow as a barber and eventually in business. So, I'm excited to do this again. You guys continue to get involved. I will continue to make this video for you guys, and I'll see you soon.